This is a military ceremony, not a family reunion. An officer turns to address a woman standing quietly at the edge of the graduation field. Small frame, shoulder-length black hair. She just nods, says nothing. But when the wind lifts her sleeve, it reveals a tattoo. Mechanical wings curling around the code, Phoenix-7. The general just walks over, sees it, and immediately freezes. Welcome to True Stories Zone. Before we dive into this incredible story of hidden courage, silent sacrifice, and the moment when a quiet sister revealed a past that would shake an entire military base, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Maya Chen, 37 years old. Small build, straight black hair reaching just past her shoulders. Calm dark eyes that seem to take in everything while revealing nothing. At 5 feet 4 inches with a petite frame that makes her appear even smaller among the crowds of military families, she moves with quiet precision that most people mistake for simple politeness. That day she only came to the Fort Benning graduation ceremony to watch her little brother's Army Ranger completion. She had driven 12 hours from her small apartment in Portland, Oregon, where she worked as a technical writer for a software company. A job that paid the bills and asked no questions about her past. Maya wears a simple gray cardigan over a white blouse, dark jeans, and comfortable walking shoes. Sunglasses perch on top of her head, and she carries a small purse. To anyone watching, she looks like exactly what she appears to be, a civilian sister who took time off work to support her family. What nobody at Fort Benning knows is that Maya's apartment contains a single locked room housing commendations and classified documents from her 5 years as one of the military's most gifted drone operators. The Phoenix-7 tattoo hidden beneath her sleeve is the only visible reminder of a past that officially never existed. Maya had always been the smart one in the Chen family. While her brother Daniel dreamed of becoming a soldier, Maya had been fascinated by technology, by the intricate systems that allowed humans to control machines across vast distances. She had graduated summa cum laude from MIT with degrees in aerospace engineering and computer science, and the military had recruited her before she even finished her thesis. But that was a lifetime ago. Today, she was just Daniel's big sister, the one who had helped him with homework, driven him to soccer practice, and talked him through his decision to enlist when their parents had been less than supportive. Fort Benning's Army Ranger graduation ceremony was one of the military's most prestigious events. Maya arrived early, positioning herself near the edge of the graduation field where she could see Daniel clearly without joining the crowds of more enthusiastic family members. She watched as Daniel took his place in formation with his fellow graduates, noting how he stood straighter than he had as a teenager, the confidence in his bearing that hadn't been there 18 months ago. Pride swelled in her chest. Quiet, private pride. A sergeant approaches the family viewing area. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in designated family seating areas and keep noise to a minimum during official proceedings. Maya had positioned herself slightly outside the main family section, preferring the quieter spot. "Ma'am," the sergeant continues, noticing Maya's position, "family seating is behind the red line. Please move to the proper section." Maya looks at the crowded family seating where parents are jockeying for the best views. "I'm fine here. I can see well enough." "Ma'am, we need family members in designated areas for security purposes," the sergeant insists. Maya nods and moves toward the family section but positions herself at the back where she can still see Daniel without blocking anyone's view. A young soldier's wife nearby notices Maya's solitary presence. "Look at that woman. Doesn't she know this is a family event? She's probably here for social media photos." Her husband glances at Maya. "Yeah, probably one of those people who shows up at military events for photo opportunities." Their conversation isn't whispered, and Maya hears every word. She's accustomed to being overlooked, to having people make assumptions. It doesn't bother her. If anything, she appreciates the anonymity. Another family member joins the conversation. "I don't understand why they let random people into these ceremonies. This is supposed to be for families only." "Maybe she's military herself," suggests a younger woman, though her tone suggests she doesn't believe it. "Her?" The older woman laughs quietly. "Look at her. Does she look military? She's probably here for some research project." Maya adjusts her position, turning her attention back to the ceremony preparations. She's learned not to correct people's assumptions. It's easier to let them think what they want, and it helps maintain the privacy she's worked hard to protect. The graduation ceremony begins with traditional military precision. The graduating Rangers march onto the field in perfect formation, and Maya watches Daniel with quiet satisfaction, seeing how naturally he fits into the group. The commanding general, Patricia Morrison, takes the podium. General Morrison is impressive. Tall, authoritative, with natural command presence. Maya recognizes her immediately, though they had never worked together directly. Ladies and gentlemen, General Morrison begins. Today we celebrate the completion of one of the most challenging training programs in the world. These soldiers have proven themselves worthy of the Ranger tab through dedication, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Maya listens while keeping her eyes on Daniel. She can see the emotion on his face, the pride and relief of someone who has accomplished something once thought impossible. It reminds her of her own graduation from drone operator school. As the ceremony continues, Maya becomes aware of conversations around her. Family members are sharing stories about their graduates, talking about sacrifices made and challenges overcome. My son almost quit during the first week, one mother tells another. He called me crying, saying it was too hard. I told him quitting wasn't an option. Mine too, replies another parent. But look at them now. You can see the difference in how they carry themselves. Maya thinks about her own transformation during her military years, how the shy engineering student from MIT had become someone capable of making life-or-death decisions while controlling multiple aircraft from thousands of miles away. The wind picks up slightly, rustling programs and flags. Maya pulls her cardigan closer, feeling the familiar weight of the tattoo on her left forearm. She had gotten the tattoo after her final operation, a reminder of something she could never talk about but would never forget. During the equipment inspection portion of the ceremony, an unexpected moment occurs that changes everything. One of the graduating Rangers, nervous about performing in front of his family, fumbles with his tactical radio. The radio slips from his hands and hits the ground hard, the battery pack separating and the antenna bending. The young soldier, Maya recognizes him as Private Johnson, looks mortified. This is supposed to be his moment of triumph, and he's just embarrassed himself in front of hundreds of people. Maya watches as Johnson tries to reassemble the radio, his hands shaking from nerves. The instructors are watching, debating whether to intervene. The ceremony has paused, and everyone's attention is focused on the struggling graduate. Without thinking, Maya steps forward. It's an instinctive reaction, the inability to watch technical equipment fail when she knows she can fix it. "Excuse me," she says quietly, approaching Johnson. The frequency selector is set wrong, and the antenna connection is loose. Johnson looks up with surprise and gratitude. "Ma'am, I don't know how to fix it. This thing is more complicated than what we trained on." Maya kneels beside him, her movements precise. "It's simpler than it looks. See this dial? Channel 7 for command communications. Channel 3 for tactical." Her fingers move over the controls with practiced familiarity. "And this antenna, make sure the connection is tight, but not over-tightened." As she works, her cardigan sleeve rides up slightly, revealing the edge of a tattoo, dark lines suggesting mechanical wings and alphanumeric code. Johnson grins as the radio crackles to life. "Ma'am, thank you. You really know military equipment." "Just basic technical knowledge," Maya says, starting to stand and tugging her sleeve back into place. But several people have seen the tattoo, including Staff Sergeant Williams, who had been watching the interaction. Williams steps closer. He had noticed not just Maya's technical proficiency but the automatic way she had handled the radio, like someone with extensive military communications experience. "Ma'am," Williams says, "that was impressive technical knowledge for a civilian." Maya realizes her intervention has drawn the attention she usually tries to avoid. "I work in tech. Some principles carry over." But Williams has caught a glimpse of the tattoo, and something about it seems familiar. Military tattoos often contain unit designations or operation codes. This one looks official, distinctive. "Ma'am, what's that tattoo? It looks military-related." Maya's hand instinctively moves to cover her sleeve. "It's personal," she says quietly. But the wind chooses that moment to gust again, lifting her sleeve higher and revealing more of the tattoo, enough to show the mechanical wing design and part of an alphanumeric code. That's when General Morrison, who had been observing from the reviewing stand, notices the commotion and walks over to investigate. General Patricia Morrison approaches the group. She's curious about the delay and wants to understand what technical issue required civilian intervention. "What's the situation here?" she asks. Staff Sergeant Williams explains, "Ma'am, Private Johnson had a radio malfunction, and this civilian was able to repair it." She demonstrated sophisticated knowledge of military communications equipment. General Morrison looks at Maya with professional interest. It's not unusual for family members to have technical backgrounds, but there's something about Maya's demeanor, her calm competence, the precise way she handled the equipment, that suggests more than casual familiarity. "That was helpful of you," General Morrison says. "What's your technical background?" "I work in software development," Maya replies, keeping her answer general. But General Morrison has the eye of someone who has spent decades evaluating people. Maya's posture, the way she instinctively oriented herself to maintain visual contact with multiple areas, the unconscious scanning behavior. These are small things, but they add up to a pattern. And then the wind gusts again, and Maya's sleeve rides up enough to reveal more of the tattoo. General Morrison sees it clearly this time. Mechanical wings rendered in sharp black lines, surrounding alphanumeric code that reads Phoenix-7. The design is distinctive, professional, and unmistakably military. More than that, it's familiar. The general's expression changes immediately. Her eyes widen slightly, and she takes a step closer. "Phoenix-7, she says quietly, her voice carrying recognition that makes everyone around them fall silent. Maya realizes her carefully maintained anonymity is about to end. General Morrison clearly recognizes the tattoo, which means she knows about Operation Desert Phoenix, one of the most classified drone operations in recent military history. "Maya Chen," General Morrison says, her voice carrying surprise and respect. "Phoenix-7. The drone coordinator responsible for Operation Desert Phoenix in 2013. The words hit the group like a physical force. Maya nods slowly. "General Morrison, you know each other?" Staff Sergeant Williams asks, confusion evident. "Not personally," General Morrison explains, never taking her eyes off Maya. "But I know her reputation. Phoenix-7 was one of the most successful drone operations in modern military history. The conversation has drawn more attention. Other instructors, graduates, and family members are gathering, sensing something significant is happening." "Ma'am," Johnson asks hesitantly, "are you military?" Maya looks around at the growing crowd, all staring with various expressions of curiosity and growing respect. This is exactly the situation she had spent years trying to avoid. "I was," she says simply. "What branch?" another graduate asks. "Air Force. Drone operations." General Morrison steps forward, addressing the crowd. This woman coordinated one of the most complex and successful rescue operations in modern warfare. Operation Desert Phoenix saved 52 American soldiers who had been trapped behind enemy lines for 6 hours with no possibility of conventional rescue. A murmur runs through the crowd. 52 soldiers saved represents entire families, communities, futures that continued because of successful military action. "How?" Daniel's voice cuts through the murmur. Maya turns to see her brother pushing through the crowd, his face showing confusion and dawning realization. "Sis, what are they talking about?" Maya looks at her little brother, seeing the same curiosity and determination that had driven him to become a ranger. She had hoped to keep her past separate from his future, but that choice has been taken away. "Daniel," she says quietly, "there are some things about my time before you enlisted that I never told you." General Morrison realizes this moment requires careful handling. Maya's operation was highly classified, but enough time has passed that some details can be discussed publicly. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Morrison addresses the crowd, "what we're discussing is a decorated military operation that saved American lives. The details are still classified, but this woman's actions exemplify the highest traditions of military service." She turns back to Maya. "Operation Desert Phoenix. August 23, 2013. Your coordination saved 52 soldiers from an impossible situation." Maya shifts uncomfortably. "General, this really isn't necessary. I came here to watch my brother graduate, not discuss old operations." "It is necessary," General Morrison insists. "These soldiers need to understand what excellence looks like." Daniel steps closer. Maya, what operation? What did you do? Maya looks at her brother, then at the crowd. She had never wanted this moment, but since it has come, she decides to handle it with the directness that had characterized her military service. I was a drone operator, she says. I controlled unmanned aircraft from remote locations for 5 years. One operation involved coordinating a rescue mission for soldiers trapped behind enemy lines. Coordinating how? Another graduate asks. General Morrison answers. She flew 3 drones simultaneously for 47 minutes straight, through a sandstorm, while navigating enemy air defenses, to provide precise air support that allowed trapped soldiers to escape. The crowd absorbs this with the kind of silence that comes when people realize they're witnessing something extraordinary. 3 drones at once? Staff Sergeant Williams asks. That's supposed to be impossible. It wasn't impossible, Maya corrects. It was just very difficult. The technology existed, and the situation required it. But the coordination involved, another instructor says. The split-second timing, the ability to track multiple aircraft while managing weapon systems, that's beyond what most people could handle. Maya shrugs. I had good training and good equipment, and very strong motivation. What motivation? Daniel asks. Maya looks directly at her brother. 52 soldiers were going to die if someone didn't act. They had families, futures, people who loved them. Just like you do. The weight of that statement settles over the crowd. This isn't just about military technique. It's about the fundamental responsibility that soldiers accept when they choose to serve others. General Morrison continues. The convoy was ambushed in a narrow valley. Enemy forces had positioned themselves on elevated terrain with clear fields of fire. Weather conditions prevented conventional air support, and the soldiers had no cover and no escape route. What kind of weather? Johnson asks. Sandstorm, Maya replies. 0 visibility for conventional aircraft, and the storm was interfering with satellite communications. The soldiers couldn't even confirm their exact position. So how did you find them? Thermal imaging and systematic grid searches. I flew search patterns until I located heat signatures that matched human body temperature in defensive configurations. General Morrison nods. What she's not telling you is that enemy forces were actively hunting her drones with surface-to-air missiles and electronic countermeasures. She had to keep all 3 aircraft operational while under constant attack. How long did the entire operation take? Daniel asks. 47 minutes from initial contact to successful extraction, Maya says. But it felt like 47 hours. A female graduate raises her hand. Ma'am, what was the hardest part? Maya considers the question. The hardest part was knowing that if I made a mistake, if I crashed a drone, if I missed a target, if I mistimed a strike, people would die. Not statistics. Actual people with families and futures. But you didn't make mistakes, General Morrison observes. I made plenty of mistakes, Maya corrects. I just didn't make any fatal ones. And I had backup plans for every backup plan. Ma'am, another graduate asks, why did you leave the military? If you were that good, why didn't you stay? Maya is quiet for a long moment. Because after that operation, I realized I never wanted to be responsible for taking lives again unless it was absolutely necessary. I had proven I could do the job when it mattered most. That was enough. But you could have saved more people in other operations, someone points out. Maybe. But I could also have made a mistake that cost lives. The job requires confidence and aggression I no longer felt comfortable maintaining. It was time to step back. General Morrison studies Maya's face. You walked away at the peak of your capabilities. I walked away while I was still at the peak, Maya corrects. Before stress and responsibility could compromise my judgment. General Morrison addresses the crowd with authority. What you need to understand is that Maya's service represents a new kind of warfare. Technology that allows us to project power across vast distances while minimizing risk. But technology is only as good as the people operating it. She turns to Maya. You were selected for drone operations because of your technical background, but you excelled because of your decision-making under pressure. That's not something that can be taught. Maya shifts uncomfortably. General, there were lots of people who could have done what I did. No, General Morrison says firmly. The technology made it theoretically possible. You made it actually possible. There's a significant difference. Daniel steps forward, struggling to reconcile the sister he's known with the military professional being described. Maya, he says, why didn't you ever tell me? All these years, I've been talking about wanting to serve, and you never mentioned you had already done exactly what I was dreaming about. Maya looks at her brother with affection. Because I wanted you to make your own choices about service, not feel like you had to live up to something I had done. Your path is yours, not mine. But you could have helped me understand what military service really means. You're understanding it now, Maya replies. Military service means doing what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, regardless of whether anyone knows about it. You don't serve for recognition. You serve because the mission matters. General Morrison nods approvingly. That's exactly the attitude that made Phoenix-7 successful. Maya never sought credit or publicity. In fact, she actively avoided both. Why? Asks a family member. Maya considers how to explain something that has guided her choices for years. Because the moment you start doing the job for recognition, you stop doing it for the right reasons. Military service is about the mission and the people you're protecting, not personal glory. But don't you want people to know what you accomplished? Johnson asks. The people who needed to know knew, Maya says. The 52 soldiers who went home, they knew. Their families knew. My commanders knew. That was enough. General Morrison addresses the crowd again. This is why we honor all service, whether publicly recognized or not. Some of our most important military actions are performed by people whose names will never appear in newspapers. She looks directly at the graduating Rangers. Each of you has chosen a path that may require you to act without recognition, to make sacrifices that go unnoticed, to succeed in ways that can never be publicly acknowledged. Maya's example shows you what that looks like. A graduate raises his hand. Ma'am, how do you stay motivated when nobody knows what you're doing? Maya smiles, the first genuine smile since the conversation began. You remember why you started. I became a drone operator because I wanted to use my technical skills to protect people. Every time I successfully completed a mission, I knew that somewhere, families were staying intact because of work I had done. That was more than enough motivation. What about after you left? Daniel asks. The same thing. I just found different ways to contribute. I write technical documentation that helps people do their jobs better. I volunteer with organizations that support military families. I came here today to watch my brother graduate. All of that is service, just in different forms. General Morrison nods. Service doesn't end when you take off the uniform. It just changes form. As the graduation ceremony resumes, something fundamental has changed. The interaction with Maya has reminded everyone present about the deeper meaning of military service and the quiet heroism that often goes unrecognized. Maya returns to her position, but she's no longer invisible. People nod respectfully as she passes, and several family members make room for her to have a better view. The woman who had earlier questioned her presence approaches apologetically. Ma'am, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions about why you were here, and I was completely wrong. Maya accepts graciously. You couldn't have known. And honestly, I prefer it when people don't know about my background. It makes it easier to focus on what's happening now rather than what happened in the past. But what you did was amazing. Shouldn't people know about heroes like you? The real heroes, Maya says, gesturing toward the graduating Rangers, are the ones who are still serving. My time is over. Theirs is just beginning. The ceremony proceeds with traditional precision, but there's added weight to the proceedings now. When the graduates receive their Ranger tabs, the families understand more clearly what those tabs represent. Daniel performs flawlessly during his evaluation, demonstrating the skills he's acquired during months of training. Maya watches with quiet satisfaction, seeing the transformation military service has produced. When Daniel's name is called and he steps forward to receive his Ranger tab, Maya feels pride, concern for the dangers he'll face, and satisfaction that he's found his path. But there's also recognition that his journey is just beginning, while hers has taken a different direction. After the ceremony, Daniel makes his way to Maya. His face shows excitement and relief, but also something deeper. New understanding of the sister who has always been there for him. Maya, he says, embracing her, I can't believe you never told me. All this time, you've been my hero, and I didn't even know it. You don't need heroes, Maya replies. You need to be the person you want to be, based on your own choices and values. Today proved you're already doing that. But I could have learned from your experience. You're learning from your own experience, which is better. My path was right for me, but it might not have been right for you. You had to find your own way. Daniel looks at his Ranger tab, then back at his sister. Do you think I'll be good at this? Maya studies her brother's face, seeing determination and integrity that have always been part of his character. I think you'll be exactly the kind of soldier the army needs. You'll care about the mission and the people you're serving with. You'll make good decisions under pressure because you understand what's at stake. Like you did. Like we both will in our own ways. As Maya and Daniel prepare to leave Fort Benning, General Morrison approaches with several instructors. Her expression is serious but warm. Maya, she says, before you leave, I want to present you with something. She produces a framed certificate bearing the official Army seal. This is a certificate of appreciation for your service during Operation Desert Phoenix and for your continued commitment to supporting military families. While your actions were classified and couldn't be publicly recognized at the time, your service deserves acknowledgement. Maya looks at the certificate with surprise and discomfort. General, this really isn't necessary. I didn't come here looking for recognition. I know you didn't. That's exactly why you deserve it. Recognition should go to those who serve without seeking it. The crowd responds with spontaneous applause, but Maya notices it's different from ceremonial applause. This is personal recognition from people who understand what military service really means. As they leave, many people approach Maya to thank her or ask questions. Each interaction is brief and respectful, but taken together, they represent something important. A community's recognition of service that transcends rank, branch, or time period. One graduating ranger approaches with a thoughtful expression. Ma'am, what you said about finding different ways to serve after leaving the military. Could you give an example? Maya considers the question. I volunteer with an organization that helps military families navigate Veterans Administration bureaucracy. I use my technical background to help them understand complex procedures. It's not glamorous, but it makes a real difference. That's service too. Absolutely. Service doesn't require a uniform or rank. It just requires caring about something bigger than yourself and taking action to support it. As Maya and Daniel reach her car, Daniel asks, why didn't you ever encourage me to go into drone operations? If you were so good at it, why didn't you suggest I follow your path? Maya unlocks the car before answering. Because your path should be yours, not mine. You wanted to be a ranger because you wanted to serve on the ground with people in direct action. That's completely different from what I did. Both are important, but they require different personalities and skills. But I could have learned from your experience. You are learning from your own experience, which is more valuable. I can tell you about flying drones, but I can't tell you about leading soldiers in combat. You'll have to learn that yourself. Daniel nods slowly. I guess I understand. But it would have been nice to know my sister was basically a legend. Maya laughs, the first truly relaxed sound she's made all day. I'm not a legend. I'm just someone who had a job to do and did it as well as I could. The general made it sound impossible. The general has to make everything sound dramatic. But seriously, Daniel, what I did was the result of years of preparation meeting an urgent need. It wasn't magic. It was training, technology, and timing. And talent. Maybe some talent. But mostly preparation. They drive in silence before Daniel speaks again. Do you miss it? The military, the importance of what you were doing. Maya considers carefully. I miss the clarity of purpose. In the military, you always know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and why it matters. Civilian life is more ambiguous. You have to create your own sense of purpose. Have you created your own sense of purpose? I think so. I help people in different ways now. It's quieter, less dramatic, but it still matters. And you're okay with that? With being ordinary? Maya glances at her brother. Daniel, There's nothing ordinary about choosing to live a life that prioritizes other people's well-being over your own recognition. The work I do now, helping military families, supporting veterans, even just being a good sister who shows up for important events, all of that is meaningful.